Well, welcome out there to my program once again. Always a pleasure to have you out there. And I really enjoy being here. I've got the panelists on tonight, and I'm going to tell you, if there are any people in this city that know the issues of this city, my panelists do. They're experts. They're virtual experts about what goes on in the city of Fall River. And if you've got a secret and you think you're going to keep it, it'll never work. This is the triumvirate. Danny, Bob, and CJ. Welcome again to my program.
The unholy trinity.
Always a pleasure to be here,
God,
Richard.
I'm
Always a
telling
pleasure.
You know, Jack Anderson had nothing over you, CJ.
Nah, well, you know, I try my best. Although I'm not making the camera today. I'm not sure why. Ah, there I am.
Maybe you want to be incognito. But look, gentlemen, welcome to my program once again. Always a pleasure to have you here. Now, you know, since the last panel show, there's been one very interesting development. And I'll put that out there to the audience and let them assess what took place down on the waterfront, adjacent or alongside a place called the Boondocks. Late at night, a surreptitious meeting between the mayor and a city councilor, CJ Ferry, and lo and behold, another city councilor just happened to pop along, saw the mayor's car, decided to stop and see what was going on. And all the while, a businessman, Mr. Goslin, was in the car. And it seemed that when CJ Ferry entered the mayor's car, well, before that, Mr. Goslin got into the back seat. Paul DeSilvia, city councilor, was in the back seat, and CJ Ferry was in the front seat. Now, as CJ Ferry relates the story, a gun was taken out. Some comments were made. It's not healthy out there, or it's dangerous out there. Something that you might say only happens in the movies or in other places that you don't want to go to, if you know what I mean. So, we're at the point where we've got a criminal investigation that's going to be undertaken. And what do you think of that, gentlemen? What do you think of this apparently bizarre, a story you can't make up? CJ Ferry seems to be very credible to most people. And now, a criminal investigation. Bob?
Well, obviously, there's a lot of accusations, and there's a lot of material to go forth. There seems to be a lot of contradictions with the story. We've had some contradictions from Councilor De Silva. Initially, he told the Herald News that he didn't see a gun, but he told Council President Camara he did see a gun. Then he said he happened by, and then WSAR announced that he told people at the Cove he was going to a meeting. And of course, then we have the mayor that has the only car ever created without a dashboard, and that's been revised. So, there are a lot of inconsistencies, so to speak, in this story, and I think. I've heard this special prosecutor is a pretty good prosecutor. So let's hope we all get to the bottom of this, because last time I checked, most mayors don't have meetings on the waterfront in the middle of the night with two other people and drive the person around for an hour. I don't know.
Dan, criminal investigation. Here's the paper, a local paper, had a glowing article Sunday about CJ Ferry, a young man, community involved ever since he was very young, became a city councilor. What does that article do as far as his credibility?
Well, I think I believe he'll finish higher in the next election. It'll be his first actual election, because he wasn't elected in November. He ascended to the seat when Kathy Ann Viveris became the city administrator. But the way it's going right now, his story appears credible. There's a criminal investigation. if he stays and doesn't maneuver, I think he'll come out of this looking very bright, and his prospect in the next election he'll ascend to, I would say, one of the top 4 places.
CJ, you're part of the recall petition. One of the petitioners gathered close to 5,500 signatures. They're going supposedly by Friday. There will be a report as to certification of the signatures. You only need about 2,500 or so. Now, since this episode down in the waterfront, it's put the recall to the side somewhat. Let me ask you this. Do you think that this episode down at the waterfront could be the end of the mayor and the recall moot in weeks or months to come?
Well, I mean, I think the only thing I have to say is, down by the boondocks, the mayor has a gun. Down by the boondocks, it wasn't fun. Couldn't resist that. The reason why the certification of the signatures was put on hold was because they had the election last week. And the election took precedence over all other activities by the elections board. Now that they're on it and they have people working on it, I'm supposing, I should never assume or suppose anything, they're going to supposedly have it done by Friday. What time, I don't know. And there's a lot of misinformation out there that we want to stop. But I think what's happened here now is, and the stories are coming from as far away as Boston, as well as the backyard, that people believe the mayor's done. He's done. I mean,
One way or the other.
One way or the other, he's done. Whether the recall gets rid of him, or he resigns, or he walks out in silver bracelets, whatever the case may be. He's going around saying, I will be vindicated, I will be vindicated. I think that was the mantra of every convicted felon in the courthouse. But this situation should have never happened. And it's not so much that the gun was shown, because, again, Jazel said the gun wasn't pointed at him.
I mean, it would seem that it was never really planned this way, in a sense that this episode out there was never, I guess, in the mind of the mayor to be revealed. There was going to be a meeting, and whatever thoughts were going through those people's minds were things that, and the episode that took place was something that I'm sure the mayor, Paul De Silva, and Mr. Gosselin never thought that it would be revealed. It was a very surreptitious type meeting, dead of night, but it's all pretty much backfired.
And the thing is that, first and foremost, our mayor is an attorney. Okay, the man is an attorney. And you have to ask yourself, what attorney would allegedly, and I'm saying that very loudly so he hears it, allegedly ask a city councilor to suborn perjury, to file a false criminal complaint and suborn perjury? Who would ask you to do that? And the thing is that Jazel's story has not changed the entire time. It is the same methodically. So he's either been studying this part for a long time, or it's the truth.
Well,
and if you tell the truth, you never have to remember your lies.
People say, Dan, that who would make up a story like this and go public? Does that make any sense?
I can't see what the benefit to Jazel would be to go public with a made-up story of this caliber. Because if it was proven false, he would look like a complete fool. And again, there's an investigation pending. Let's see what the investigation shows. I hope it's thorough enough so that no matter which way you come down on this, the result will be clear to both sides, and we'll know exactly what happened.
Now, some people have raised the issue, Bob, that a gun was produced, shown. Some comments were made that the police department, in this case, should ask for that weapon to be turned in.
Well, I mean, I think they have valid reason. We've seen numerous occasions where people have been, even with a domestic dispute, they've confiscated anybody who has weapons. You know, police chiefs in Massachusetts have absolute authority to revoke licenses. You know, it's not a right to own a gun state. It's you may own a gun, and police chiefs have an absolute right. And the reality is, if that was you or I, they'd probably have a SWAT team around my house, confiscating everything. And you know, at best, we have to wonder about the decision-making ability of the mayor, because you know, what was said is alleged. What is true is that a sitting mayor, called another public official in the middle of the night to have a meeting in a secluded area with 2 other people in a vehicle. I mean, even if the perception of impropriety is right there, what mayor do you know that has midnight meetings in secluded areas to discuss anything? You know, it just doesn't make sense, and I think it smacks of the fact that even in the best case scenario, it shows that he doesn't really think things out well.
Well, here's a mayor, CJ, that drives around in an unmarked car. And I say unmarked because usually the mayor will have the so-called mayor's car with the city emblem on it.
With police lights.
He has police lights in this car in the back. He's installed security doors at the city hall, and now it comes out that he's carrying a gun. Is there some kind of a pattern here?
Well, I mean, if I were to be a psychiatric evaluator, I would say there's a little bit of paranoia going on, but I'm not.
Well, you're a nurse.
I know, but I'm not doing this as a nurse. I'm doing this as a person on the street. And again,
you're not a person on the street.
But again, I see a little bit of paranoia developing. I mean, it just seems to me that, you know, a security door went in because supposedly people were going to come in and attack or assault people. It was to put up a wall to protect the office staff. We have a vehicle which is secure. Okay, it's got blue lights on it, and the mayor has driven around town with those lights blinking everywhere. I mean, I've seen them myself, and I have to question, how come the law doesn't apply to him, but it applies to everyone else? Because it seems that happens a lot with him.
And it is a violation of the law. You know, number one, I'm not even sure that he's allowed blue lights, because blue lights are especially for police officers. Secondly, I know that even if they have some obscure way to say that he can have these lights on a vehicle, which I don't believe he can, he is violating the rules and regulations of emergency vehicles. You know, as someone who had to review those every year with personnel about driving to and from emergencies, you can't use those lights because you're tied up at an intersection. You can't use it because you're late for a date or a coffee. The fact is, and he's been seen using those lights, and the fact is that those lights can only be used when you're responding to an emergency situation. That's the law. And when you come back from those emergency situations, you are a regular motor vehicle. You have to abide by the speed limits. You have to stop at lights. You can't have those. You can't use your sirens. You can maintain the running lights to a degree so you can identify yourself and people can see the vehicle. But I mean, to use the siren, use the horn, use the you know, that's a violation of the law.
Well, he's not a police officer, and he's not some kind of a security person. He's not part of the fire department. Is there something, Dan? Is there something kind of odd here? Why is he allowed to even have these lights? You or I could not install lights in our car.
I have no idea, Richard. The whole thing of this mantra, you know, you couldn't make this up in a Hollywood movie. That's why I think it's vital that the investigation take shape.
You think this investigation could go far afield and what it is made out to be?
Depending how both sides and the prosecutor resolve matters and what is discussed and how much cooperation they get from both sides, anything has potential. Plus, you don't know who may or may not speak that the prosecutor may want to speak to. People that we may not even be considering at this
People have
time.
been in the administration before, and for some reason are not there, might have a minor axe to grind.
I mean, obviously, they're gonna interview both parties, and
Do you think people will be coming forward, Bob, and, you know, saying, look, I'd like to talk to you, Mr. Prosecutor, because I know something about this other thing?
Well, yeah, there
Well, I have
there
these
have been some
documents,
rumors.
Mr. Prosecutor, because when I was working on a sixth floor, I made copies of these, but I don't want you to tell anybody about it. I don't want you to tell anybody I'm even talking to you, but I want you to have these things.
Well, the rumor is out that there's another individual who's going to be coming forward, and that he has done some things, and he has some proof, and that he's talking to lawyers. And also, these things tend to have a life of their own once they begin. Everybody that has some information, obviously, there's going to be questions. There's always questions. And number one, you know, Mr. Goslin was in there, and how deep is an investigation going to go? I mean, is he going to be
Mr.
considered?
Goslin is in the fence contracting business. Now,
Yeah.
he just got a deal with the city. He sold the city some fence.
Yeah, and he sold the city a lot of fences.
A lot.
And that's one of the areas where maybe if
So
this
it wasn't the rent,
prosecution, yeah.
it wasn't the rent, but it was for sale.
And he's also, you know, and that's one of the things that these investigations, sometimes they sprout, you know,
No,
offshoots.
they go into different
They-
areas?
you know, like if his testimony comes into question and they consider his credibility as a witness, they'll say, well, are you telling the truth? Let's see how much money you've actually made from the city and from this mayor. And, you know, and obviously there are the situations where, with Mr. De Silva's inconsistencies, I mean, you know, these interrogators are professionals, and the people who are being interrogated are not professional criminals. Sometimes they have a hard time breaking a criminal, but for the most part, from everybody I've talked to who has police experience, they say when they get somebody in there who's not a criminal, they can normally break them down pretty quick. So I'm really curious to see. But I want to say one thing before you. If this thing does go to trial and Mr. Reddington comes on, I'm going to go. He's supposed to be the best lawyer around. And he represented Whitey Bulger's girlfriend. I want to see this guy in action for a $100,000 retainer. I want to see this guy.
Well, do you think people will be coming forward with other matters? In other words, look, I'd like to speak to you, Mr. Prosecutor, because I don't want to be tied up or drawn in on this matter that I know of and I was slightly involved with. And if I give you some stuff, can you give me immunity? Will you, you know, don't bother me, please?
Well, I think that's what you're going to see happen. I think you're going to see a lot of people who are going to come forward, and they're going to talk about issues, and we know there's plenty of them. And a lot of people
You
before.
remember what happened with Marsha Lewinsky when she was making those telephone calls?
Yeah,
The other
Monica
woman-
Lewinsky. Yeah, I mean,
Monica, the other woman was taping those calls.
right. And the thing is that we don't know. We don't know what's going on there. And those people, before they come forward, especially if they're possibly guilty of a crime, they're going to turn around. They're going to talk with their own attorneys first, and their attorney is going to talk with the prosecutor and say, "Look, my client will give you everything. Here it is. Here's the box. But he wants blanket immunity." That's not unheard of happening, and we know this. And the problem is that, as was said, these people aren't professional criminals. They're wannabe gangsters. They're wannabe thugs. And what happens is you're going to get them into the room, and you'll get one of them in, and they'll turn around and confess to shooting JFK. You know, I mean, don't put me in jail. You know, I shot JFK. You know, I was on the grassy knoll. I sunk the Titanic. Whatever it may be, they're going to come out and they're going to do that, because they're not professionals at this. And no matter how much pressure they feel that they're under from allegedly the administration or from somebody else, whether it be anyone that was in that vehicle or somewhere, there's not enough pressure to get them to say, "I'll go to jail for 2 years for you."
Well, we got the recall petitioners. They mentioned that they don't want to go through a second budget process with this mayor. Now, as part of the impetus to recall, go out there and get the signatures. Now, the budget has been passed, but it seems like there's some big holes in the budget.
Gigantic holes, Richard. Gigantic
$3.7 million is just something that pops into my head right off the top of my
gigantic
head.
holes, which is one of the reasons that we contended when people said, why are you going to do this? He's going to be up in like 14 months. And we said, we can't afford to continue because the only way he knows how to close gaps is to further tax and break the city. And as he said, as CJ said, in October, we're looking at $3.7 million shortfall in the school department. And where are we going to get the money? And there are other holes in the budget. We've been told from reliable sources that there are, in that pro forma that they sent up budget, that the DOR is questioning some of the numbers even on the pro forma.
And there might need to be a full audit. And pay-as-you-throw doesn't seem to be working out as
Nope.
planned. So if pay-as-you-throw, which one city councilor said has already been worked into the budget. In other words, he used the word predicated. The budget is predicated.
It is.
Oh,
$3.5 million.
We knew that from the beginning, Richard. Yeah, we knew, and that's why, in my opinion, the city council didn't get a vote on pay-as-you-throw because they already put the projected revenue into the budget before passage as predication.
Is this Boston beer money?
It looks very similar, doesn't it?
Too much so. And the worst part about it is, that even the numbers they're giving us now are not accurate. A 95% compliance rate. But if I drive down the streets, I see hefty bags on the street. I drove down one of the roads up in the North End, and there were TV sets plopped along all over the place. Chip went to the baseball. I guess they put up a TV set on the baseball field because they found one there. So, 95% compliance rate isn't happening. And they fail to take into consideration the fact that 24 to 26% of the city privatized their trash.
Now, all the trash, for clarification of people out there, is that trash has to go into those bags. You cannot just put the trash in the bin.
Correct.
You've got to put it in the bag. And the only way your trash will be removed, taken away, is if it's in the bag, in the bin.
Yep. In the bag that you bought, in the bin that you bonded for, by the people whose salary you pay with your taxes. So we pay 3 times. And we're paying for it even though the landfill is still open and we're still getting host fees.
And traditionally, paying taxes, real estate taxes, was part of what you expected in regards to having your trash collected. So that is not the case anymore. And people will say, well, pay-as-you-throw was the thing that started the recall petitioners. But I've heard recall petitioners saying that is not what really was the initiative for the recall. That there were too many things that were happening that were unexplained. Is that correct, Bob?
No, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. There's always a catalyst. The final straw was, I believe, the mayor, number one, when he was campaigning for this most recent term, taking to task his opponent for even suggesting pay-as-you-throw and saying that the people couldn't afford it, and then he implements it, and he does it by circumventing, the process. But then what that did was it galvanized people to say, something, this started with the illegal stormwater, and then they had, almost everybody you talk to in the recall has 2 or 3 different reasons, and some 5 or 6 different reasons why they're fed up with this guy. The thing is that it took one final blow to really get everybody, to the point where they're outraged. And, the pay-as-you-throw, it's purple power now.
And the newest crime now is to go into the bins and steal the bags. Dump the trash out and steal the bags.
Okay, so the recall petition is, you didn't start World War III. You can't take credit for that. You can't take credit for the deficit in the school budget. You can't take credit for a lot of things.
Boy, I wish he'd tell that to other people. We're blamed for everything.
Yeah, you've been accused of almost everything. The city's divided. Business people won't locate. It comes out of the Chamber of Commerce. Business people are not coming into Fall River because of the uncertainty.
Yeah.
How is that fall on.
Yet that was
your fault.
refuted by Kenny Fiola of Second Hawk Development and another and a New Bedford business person who's on their board. And they said basically all businesses care about is their operating expenses, their locations. So this is another thing. I mean, we have been actually, I think, some people actually did say we sunk the Lusitania, that we bombed Pearl Harbor and a few other things. But the fact is, and we've been branded dangerous and thugs, and we are dangerous people. Yet we have a mayor that carries
Do I
a
need
gun
an escort when I leave here
24 hours a day, and he's got a bulletproof office. But it's us. So, but the reality is, that people are looking at Fall River with a cockeyed eye because of the fact that we have, the mayor has disgraced this city, not statewide, but universally. This is all over the United States, and it's even gotten to Europe. There was an article about it in London, and the fact is that the reason they're looking at that is say, is this the way these people do business? You got a mayor that operates like he's in a Tony Soprano, and this is why they're looking for it, not because of taxpayers who want
I'm going to make an announcement, and I'm going to go around for the last comments. We've got the Friends of Cook Pond Dinner Dance, October 25th. That's going to be held at the VFW Post in Tiverton on Shove Street. Doors are going to open at 6. Nice chicken meal, all you can eat, and dancing thereafter. So tickets are available. I know my panelists, they were there last time, and they tell me they're going to be there. So if you want to meet them, if you want to question them, show up at the dinner dance, and you can ask them directly questions that you have on your mind.
I didn't know we were going to have a panel show there.
Oh yeah, wherever you three go, there's a panel show. You carry it with you. CJ, should the mayor resign, and give me a reason?
I think the mayor should resign at this point because, again, it's not the impropriety, it's the appearance of such. And I think that the people have rapidly lost faith in him.
Bob, should the mayor resign, and what do you back that up with?
Well, absolutely. I
Either
think.
way.
Well, no, I think he should resign because obviously he's become an impediment to this city moving forward with all the problems he has. I think he should just leave office and allow the city to move forward.
Richard, the best way to get this city back on track, irrespective of all the other issues we talked about tonight, is to have a full audit of all the city finances. That would put a lot of things to rest. The school department, pay your throw, public safety, and everything else.
So basically, you're saying that his preoccupation with criminal investigation that he's a major part of. Matter of fact, if it wasn't for him in that circle of people, there would probably be no investigation today. He's got the recall petition that's haunting him, I'm sure. You think that it's time for him to go?
Absolutely.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you for being on the program once again. We're going to see you in 3 weeks. Maybe by then we'll have something more concrete to discuss in regards to this investigation. But it's a story that's ripping most of the news off the front page and the radio, etc., because it's so interesting, and it has vast legal implications and maybe some kind of criminal prosecution. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to see you next time. Well, good show, very interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing we're not going to do with this, as long as this guy's around,